guys, it's Vicky, and today I'm here to share with you another Flicks and Lit video. And today I am going to be talking about the new Netflix adaptation of Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. So the story of Rebecca is basically about a nameless narrator. We never find out what her name is, so we just refer to her as the new Mrs. De Winter. And basically after a very short sort of kind of whirlwind romance with this man, Maxim De Winter, our narrator marries him and goes back to his humongous estate called Manderley and discovers that his deceased wife, Rebecca, there are still just remnants of her everywhere. And she finds herself competing, really, and trying to live up to this dead woman. And there's a housekeeper who doesn't make things any easier for her. So I should go, before I get into the comparisons and things, I should probably put out there that I have never seen any other film adaptation of Rebecca. I know Hitchcock did one. It won the Academy Award. It's supposedly fantastic, and I'm sure it is. I haven't seen it, so I kind of went into this movie. This was my first time seeing an adaptation of Rebecca, and so that might, I don't know, affect some of my opinions, but I just wanted to let you guys know that. So basically, I overall felt like this was a pretty good adaptation, and I know I'm kind of in the minority here. I was looking at some reviews. A lot of people are hating on this movie, and there are parts of it that I understand why people don't like it, but I think for the most part, it was a pretty solid adaptation. I thought that visually, the way that Manderley looked, it was stunning, it was beautiful, because that is one of the, to me, was one of the best things about Rebecca, was the setting. This big, huge house by the sea, and I thought they did a great job of like bringing Manderley to life. I also thought the casting was done pretty well, although in the book, the new Mrs. De Winter and Maxim, there's quite an age gap, and that's kind of part of, I think part of the kind of scandal with their relationship was not only was it a very short romance before they got married, but there's quite an age gap. And the actors, Lily James and what's his name? Is it Armie Hammer? Arnie Hammer? I can't remember what his first name is. They're more close in age, where I think although he did a very good job playing Mr. De Winter, I think that they maybe could have gone with someone a little bit older, because he was quite a bit older than our narrator. I do think, however, that they had good chemistry. There was definitely more of a romance in this. There were more, you know, sort of love scenes and things, and you didn't really see that in the book. In the book, their relationship was, there seemed to be this barrier up between them. And that barrier, I think, was Rebecca, the memory of Rebecca and his whole first marriage, all the baggage that came with it. And it wasn't quite like that in the movie. There definitely seemed to be more romance, more chemistry, more kissing, and all of that sort of thing. I think Lily James was cast well, but she did bring more of a sense of confidence to the role, and I don't know if that was done intentionally or if that's just Lily James. She just kind of exudes this sort of beauty and charisma that I feel like the narrator in Rebecca just did not have. She was a very insecure woman and a very plain woman, and that was, again, another part of the reason why she, I think, was so troubled when she got to Manderley, was because she just felt so out of place. And she was so plain, and Rebecca was so beautiful and so well liked, and she just wasn't that way. So I think the character in the movie, like I said, she was not so plain, though they tried to kind of dress her down, I think, a little bit. She definitely did still sort of have a confidence that I think the original character did not have. I think that Kristen Scott Thomas, who played Mrs. Danvers, was really good. I feel like she pretty much nailed that character. Because she was exactly like how I pictured her in the novel, and just, she was very like hard and cold and you know, sort of nasty to our main character, in a very like, not in a very direct way, but you just knew like there was tension there, and I feel like Kristen Scott Thomas did very well with that. So then getting into the plot, I think that for the most part, especially for the first part of the novel, or for the first part of the movie, they definitely stuck to the story. It was pretty much how the book was. But then it got to the climax, and I think the climax in the book was such an important part of the story because the climax, which obviously I'm not going to say what it is, really changed the relationship between Mrs. and Mr. De Winter. And it changed it and sort of solidified it in many ways. And it was a big sort of reveal in a very sort of emotional part in the story. And I think in the movie, it didn't quite get there for me in terms of the emotion and what it did to their relationship. It just kind of happened, and it wasn't as big of a moment to me watching it as it was when I read it in the book. And then of course they took some liberties with certain things about the plot. They definitely made it more kind of thriller-like in terms of things. I don't want to say too much without spoiling. Yeah, they made it kind of more like a thriller, like a whodunit, or like a kind of like a detective sort of thing, with a lot of like drama that wasn't really there in the novel. Definitely things about the plot were different in terms of how certain events were handled and in terms of the drama level. And then of course the ending was a little bit different. The book ends at a specific point and is a little bit ambiguous in terms of some of the characters and kind of what happened. But the movie kind of did a little bit of a continuation where the book stopped. There was a little bit of a continuation, and I wasn't necessarily a huge fan of that because I sort of liked how the book ended, but I get why a movie ending the way the book did may have been unsatisfying to some people. So I kind of get why they did that, and they made it more, there's more like closure. But yeah, I'm not sure that I loved it, but it was fine. So overall, I think that the Netflix adaptation of Rebecca was good. There I said it. I know I'm not like most people. Most people are not enjoying this movie. I liked it. I did. So, however, I would say to read the book for sure. The book is a classic suspense novel. That was one of the things I really, really liked about the book, was the suspense, the intensity between the characters. The mystery element was good too, and everything happening after the climax was like, wow, like I couldn't put the book down. Once that climax happened, it was great. And I feel like it's one of those books that, though it was written back in the 30s, it definitely holds up and is a great, great story. So I would say if you haven't read Rebecca, you totally should. If it's, you know, sort of on your radar and you're not sure, you should definitely read the book. And the movie's good too. And I definitely want to check out the Hitchcock film because it's gotten so much praise and everything. And I mean, it's Hitchcock. His movies are usually pretty good. So I will probably try to hunt that down and watch it at some point. But yeah, I would say this was a pretty good adaptation. And if you feel like checking it out, you should. All right, guys, so that is all I have for today. Please let me know down below in the comments if you have seen the adaptation of Rebecca and if you liked it, or if you're comparing it to the Netflix version to the Hitchcock version. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. And yeah, let's talk about Rebecca. Other than that, that's all I have for today, guys. I hope you're having a wonderful week, and I will talk with you very soon. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.